not by our own powers. What is joy? Is it just a dream? Or does joy lie in every stream? Are the clouds mindless after all? Or is joy all nature's theme? God is dead, so men say. Can't they see all life's his play? Not a church binds him as his own, not a creed makes him fully known. Foolish we limit him. Every atom is his throne. What is love? Is it only ours? Or does love whisper in the flowers? Surely we, children of this world, could not love by our own powers. What is love? What is love? Is it love we touch in the flower?
This is week 36. Ego, friend or foe? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your reckless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Jesus Christ begins his Beatitudes with these words: Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. To be poor in spirit in such a way as to merit the kingdom of heaven doesn't mean to be poor-spirited. Rather, it means to see oneself as owning nothing, since all belongs to God, for all is a manifestation of his consciousness. Saint John on the cross wrote, "If you would own everything, seek to own nothing." That which the ego relinquishes, offering it up to soul consciousness, is reclaimed forever in cosmic consciousness. Nothing is ever lost. Paramahansa Yogananda tells the story in Autobiography of a Yogi of the levitating saint Baduri Mahashaya. "Master," said a disciple of this saint once ardently, "you are wonderful. You have renounced riches and comforts to seek God and teach us wisdom." It was well known that Baduri Mahashaya had forsaken great family wealth in his early childhood when single-mindedly he entered the yogic path. "You are reversing the case," the saint's face held mild rebuke. "I have left a few paltry rupees, a few petty pleasures for a cosmic empire of endless bliss. How then have I denied myself anything? I know the joy of sharing the treasure. Is it a sacrifice? The short-sighted worldly folk are verily the real renunciates. They relinquish an unparalleled divine possession for a poor handful of earthly toys. The Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter states, All things are everywhere by nature wrought in interaction of the qualities. The fool cheated by self thinks, this I did, and that I wrote, but thou strong-armed prince, a better lessoned mind, knowing the play of visible things within the world of sense, and how qualities must qualify, standeth aloof even from his acts. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
And I'd like to read from the Book of Prayer Poems by Paramahansa Yogananda, Whispers from Eternity. And since this is the Jnanamaste Krishna Celebration Weekend, this is a poem written by Yogananda to Lord Krishna. Come to me as Krishna, the divine cowherd. O Krishna, Lord of Hindustan, I sorrowed by the lonely Jumuna river, where thy flute notes thrilled the air and led lost calves to thy divine home. O lotus of love, musing on the sad absence of thy delusion-spelling eyes, I saw thy invisible spirit take form, frozen by my devotion's froth. The divine body of sky-blue light walked with feet of eternity on the banks of my mind, planting there the lasting footprints of divine realization. I am one with those lost calves which followed thy flower footprints on the shoals of time, listening to the melodies of thy flute of wisdom, and now follow the middle path of calm activity by which thou hast led many through the portals of their dark past into the eternal light. Since all souls belong to thy fold, whether we move forward or are sidetracked or are hemmed in, unmoving in the fogs of disbelief, O divine Krishna, lead me back to thy unfolding shed of everlasting freedom. O Krishna, thou reignest supreme on the heart throne of all those who know thy love. It's very, very powerful and special reading from Whispers from Eternity on Krishna. And this weekend, Paul, who organized the Friday night celebration, was just outstanding. I want to compliment you, Paul. St. Paul. For pulling it all together. It was a delight to be a part of it. Krishna is symbolic of God in India. And there's the Bhagavad Gita talks about how this body is a part of this great menagerie of God, and within it there's two different forces at play, fighting and battling. Krishna, who reigns supreme, who's the manifester of all creation, who's a part of you and me. When we're driving down the street here in West LA or anywhere in LA, people honk their horns. There's a lot of noise. There's helicopters. There's sirens. There's all these things going on. And it's all a part of the manifestation of God. And we can take it in a negative sense and say, I hate LA, and or you can become a devotee and start chanting his name. Yogananda said that chanting is half the battle. Someone recently asked me, this LA scene is a mess. How can you survive in this scene? And I told them, Yogananda said, chanting is half the battle. And the way St. Paul put it in the New Testament, he said, pray unceasingly. And what is praying unceasingly? It's always having the Lord's name on your lips, in your consciousness. Even if it's not outwardly singing or chanting, you can still be thinking of that this outward facade is nothing but a dreamland of God. That the pains that we're experiencing in life are nothing but dreams. We have to wake up from the dream with a solemn determination And that solemn determination comes through the longing to know, devotion, constantly talking to God, unceasingly talking to God. This is the difference between the ego, which is always thinking about I, me, mine, and oh, poor woe is me, and the soul awakening to the point of saying, God, you show me out of this labyrinth of delusion. You put me here, you must free me. Chanting, praying, unceasingly. I personally, for myself, I can't go out into the street. I learned this when I was in Italy. I was living in Italy for 7 years. Swamiji brought me over and was head of the Ananda Center in Assisi. And we went down with Swamiji to southern Italy. And the south of Italy is, there's a lot of heart quality, especially in the south of Italy. And this was in Catanzaro, Calabria. And there was this one fellow, I was taken aback. He's been a devotee of Master for many years, studying the SRF lessons and so forth, Giovanni Stanges. And we got into his car one day. He was taking us around. And immediately when he got into his car, he started singing. That was his habit. He would sing immediately. He would, if there was a CD he was singing with or whatever, but he was always singing in his car. And I was sitting in the back seat and he started singing this song, Grazie Bambino Mio. It's a beautiful Italian song invoking the presence of the baby Jesus. Grazie Bambino Mio. And his little son was in the car doing the refrain. Grazie Bambino Mio. Grazie Signore Mio. Grazie Signore Mio. It was this beautiful orchestration that he and his son were doing. And then he would get to this emotional part in the song. Piccolo sono io. Meaning, this little I that I am. He'd lift up his hands. He's driving down the street. This guy really does have faith. He's taking his hands off. Piccolo sono io. Il cielo è tutto mio. One of the most beautiful songs. I just love singing that song. Presence of divine love. Presenza di un amore. Il raggio del tuo sole. La vita è nata in me. Your life is born within me. Presenza, la tua vita nata in me. Somiglia so much similar to me. So much similar to me, eternal God. We don't know who we are. The eternal question, who am I, really? That is the question that we have to ask ourselves every day. Who am I? We think that we're this little body, we're this little ego, that we're this religion or that race or that. We're so much more than that. I was listening to Swami's audiobook on the path recently. One of the great discoveries of our centuries can be a curse also, these iPhones. But you can download audiobooks for free on audiobook.com. And I've been trying to get into the habit of just before going to sleep at night, putting on the tape or waking up in the morning, of hitting the audiobook, and not get caught up in all the other things that you can get on these phones. But Swamiji was saying, through incarnations, the masters have come to try to awaken us. You know, in the Whispers from Eternity, Yogananda said, I will come 1 trillion times, even if there's one stray brother left behind. His devotion for God and Guru were so intense that he said that in a past life he was Arjuna, the devotee of Lord Krishna, and that in the play or the Mahabharata, that Leela of the battle of Kurukshetra, which is depicted in the Gita, which are the sayings of Arjuna and Krishna, is the discourse of Krishna, how to get out of this delusion. And so Arjuna or Yogananda, there's this beautiful story about Krishna before the battle took place. And everyone knew that Krishna was an avatar at that time, that he was an incarnation of God, that there was manifestations constantly of miracles, one after the other. And so Arjuna, who was the leader of the Pandavas, and Duryodhana, who was the leader of materialism, and this battle between materialism and spirituality, we're experiencing right here, right now, every day. And so they rush in their separate ways to Krishna, to his palace. And Arjuna gets there first, and the Lord is sleeping in his bed. And he doesn't he doesn't want to disturb Krishna, so he's sitting at the foot of Krishna's bed just waiting for him to awaken. Just at that moment, Duryodhana comes. And Duryodhana, who's king material desire, who wants to keep everyone bound to this physical realm, his only desire is to keep your mind in the thought of your ego and your materialistic desires and influences. And so he sits to the side of Krishna's bed, waiting for Krishna to awaken. And so Krishna awakens, and the first person he sees at his feet is Arjuna. And Duryodhana says, I'm by your side, Lord Krishna. I have a question. We both come here to ask for your help. And Krishna says, since I saw Arjuna first, I will ask Arjuna to ask of me what he would like. And Arjuna said, Lord Krishna, we are on the throes of battle. And I know we will win this battle if only I have you by my side. And Duryodhana, he was so happy. He said, now Krishna says, Duryodhana, now what do you want? I want all your battle elephants. I want all your warriors, all all the weapons that you own. I want everything materialistically. And Arjuna, he knew he chose the better half, because in the battle, while Krishna was there, he said, I won't fight for you, Arjuna. I will only drive your chariot. I will only be there by your side to counsel you in this battle. And they went out onto the battlefield, Krishna next to Arjuna, and Duryodhana had all the armies, the warriors, the war elephants. And Arjuna looked out into the battle and he said, how can I fight my kinsmen? How can I fight in this battle and kill those who are my very own? And he threw down his bow in the chariot. Now Yogananda said, symbolically, that is the devotee giving up his meditative practices. Now the Bhagavad Gita is all allegory. So Arjuna, he sees this incredible array of materialistic influences trying to overcome him. We're living in Hollywood. We're seeing what the movie stars go through every day when we go to Bond's Market. We read the tabloids and we think, oh, these are our stars. These are the ones that we worship. But you see what terrible mess they're in. How can we follow such people? How can we follow? And we worship them. But the Guru is there, Krishna is there to guide us through this delusion that we're playing a part of. And so Arjuna throws down his bows, he says, I can't fight. Krishna's response is, rise up, pick up your bow, meaning pick up your meditative qualities, and fight the divine, find that divine presence within yourself. One of the most beautiful quotes of Krishna is, he who watches me I watch him always. He never loses sight of me, and I never lose sight of him. This quote from Krishna is the promise of God that if we meditate on a daily basis and fight the great fight, the temptation of throwing down our bow, Even Arjuna threw down his bow in desperation. But with Krishna by our side, he will guide us through this battle of daily living so that we can become heroes. And that's our destiny, folks, is become spiritual giants, to become heroes like Christ and the masters. There's a story that Yogananda told of Vishnu and his disciple Narada. And I was listening to Swamiji on the path, and Swamiji was talking about the incarnations that Yogananda had. He said, countless incarnations, but always a devotee of God. And he was saying, even in this story of Vishnu and Narada, that Narada apparently was Yogananda in that life. And anyway, this story is so beautiful. Vishnu and Narada are walking in the desert, and Vishnu's thirsty, and he's saying, Narada, I'm thirsty. Please go get me a glass of water. And Narada said, but sir, I'm here with you. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to be caught up in the delusions of this world. He says, that's okay. You've asked me the question, how do people get caught in this mesh of delusion? I want to explain it to you. Go get me a glass of water. So he goes to a house, Narada knocks on the door, and this beautiful girl comes to the door. and Narada says, oh, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm here. I just saw your house here, and I thought, can I come in and get a glass of water for myself? So she served him a glass of water. And they got to talking, and Narada forgot all about Vishnu's request to bring him. He just started thinking about himself. So they get in a nice conversation, and Narada thinks, hey, this is a beautiful girl. I should marry her and raise a family here. And so he introduces himself to the woman's father, and in fact, they get married. And they have a whole brood of children, and they have bought lands, and the father was happy because they could create this whole big farm and ranch and so forth. And so one day, after many, many years of living in a married life, there was a flood. The river became flooded and came through and swept everyone away. And Narada was trying to hold on to his wife and children in desperation, and they were swept away. Then he thought, oh, what is life worth living for? So he lay down himself into the river and drowned. Then he heard this voice saying, Narada, Narada. Narada was looking around, opened his eyes, and saw himself sleeping in the sand. He said, Narada, Vishnu says, I sent you 2 minutes ago to give me a glass of water, and I see you here sleeping in the sand. This whole lifetime had gone by, and he had totally forgot his mission to bring Vishnu a glass of water. And that's the nature of our incarnations. Yogananda was lecturing once, and it was a cocktail party. This was in New York City. All the elite of New York City were there. They were drinking their different cocktails and alcohol and so forth. And the host of the party said, we'd like for you to speak. You don't want me to speak today. Well, no, we want you to speak. Come in. Okay. But you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. So Yogananda said, you call yourselves high society. You're a bunch of lowlife. You're low society. You're here drinking alcohol. One husband is trying to chase after the wife of the other man's husband. This is the most rank situation I've ever seen in my life. And they were just shocked. Because they wanted him to speak kindly of them. They're his benefactors. They're supporting his work. So they were thinking, oh, we're going to have some accolades from the master. He laid into them. And he said to some of the disciples afterwards, you were wasting a perfectly good incarnation. Wasting it. Now, running after women or drinking and You go anywhere here and you have now wine bars everywhere. You know, it's amazing. When I was in Italy, I used to, we were part of this Christian Roman Catholic community in Italy, and so we would go to Mass, and you know, after Mass, of course, you'd have lunch and pasta, and wine was served. It was classic, and so I would, instead of disregarding my guess, I would say un dito, one digit, and sip on it and so forth. But you know, the attachment of alcohol is so profound. And I'm not, everyone is on their journey. But you have the AA, and the first thing they do in their meetings are they stand up and say, I am an alcoholic. Well, so many vitamins and tinctures have alcohol in it. The Master Flower Essences that Leela Devi, that alcohol is so addictive because we've been used to it in incarnations, for incarnations. And even taking an eyedropper full, I would get, my head would start to fuzz. And I noticed things over the years when I started taking those 1 digits of wine. And I said, wow, this is bringing my energy down. But that's a part of the Leela, is coming to the realization that you need to be free of certain things to move forward on the path, and having the determination to say, no, not anymore. I'll take a little taste, or I'll take it. And you start feeling the energy drop, and you practice Kriya Yoga, and you find it difficult to bring the energy up. And I just want to close just with that thought that let us begin to sip the divine wine of spirit. I know for myself, when I practice Kriya Yoga, I get this wonderful sensation of bliss and joy that sort of can replace that alcoholic buzz. You get that buzz when you take a sip of wine. And all I'm saying is experiment with it for yourself. There was this one disciple of Yogananda. He was sipping, he literally had a bottle of whiskey in one hand and his Kriya beads in another. He was drink his swig on the whiskey and then practice Kriya Yoga. And he found that over time that alcoholic buzz that he felt in his brain was diminished. He let the bottle go aside and he began to feel the bliss of his own self. This is what Ananda is all about. Ananda means the joy of your higher self. And finding that bliss there, you'll begin to feel that bliss as similar to an alcoholic high at the point between the eyebrows. And the practice of Kriya Yoga, Kechari Mudra, these are techniques which help you to rise the energy up, will bring you to that inner Ananda. I love that Ananda symbol. I didn't put it on today. The joy is within you symbol. It's this expansion outward, and then finding the lessening of the outward fulfillment through the ego, and finding that joy within your own self. This is our journey. And it's the battle of Kurukshetra, right here, right now, till we become like Krishna. There's an expression, all of Krishna's soldiers look like Krishna. So many times people will come up to me and say, who know Yogananda, you look like Yogananda. I say, well, all of Krishna's soldiers look like Krishna. And that's our journey, folks. We transform ourselves, and as Master would say, when this I shall die, then I'll know who I am. And so this whole Leela that we're a part of, we go through ups and downs, we see ourselves in different lights, we feel the pain and the sorrows of life, and then gradually, through the practice of Kriya Yoga, we find the joy, that Ananda of our true self. God bless you on your journey.